Hey, it's Cody. I read the comments, and honestly, the comments did exactly what I hoped they would do. They pushed back. Some people said the last video was fair. Some people thought I was being a bit too generous to Ascension. Some people basically said, Cody, come on, Blizzard owns World of Warcraft. Now, private servers have been shut down before. Ascension made money. What are we even debating? That is the objection. So today, I'm not doing a comment reply video. I want to treat the main objections seriously. I want to use the comments to test the argument, because if this series is going to be at all useful, it has to hold up against fair criticism. The objection is simple. Blizzard owns the game. Ascension built on the game. Ascension allegedly distributed a modified client. Ascension allegedly used a store and donation points. Blizzard has gone after private servers before, so why am I still saying Blizzard has to prove it? And one more question. Open and shut against whom? The project? The companies? Every person in the caption? Those are not all the same claim. That is the question for today. So, quick status first. As of July 7th, the public docket mirror still shows the newest public entries as documents 22, 23, and 24 from July 2nd. Those filings are procedural. A lawyer appeared for Online Success Partner, then corrected an earlier appearance filing. An Online Success Partner told the court it intends to oppose Blizzard's request for early subpoenas. That opposition deadline is July 10th. So the case is still in the early records stage. Blizzard wants subpoenas. One defendant is saying, let us respond before the court lets that happen. No merits ruling, no trial record, no finding that the complaint is true. That is where we are. Now, let's talk about what the comments got right. There were some strong points. The strongest audience criticism also was Blizzard's strongest legal point. Blizzard owns World of Warcraft. That matters. This is not a fan art dispute where somebody drew a dragon that kind of looks familiar. No, Blizzard's story is much heavier than that. Blizzard says Ascension distributed a modified World of Warcraft client, used Blizzard-owned software and assets, connected players to unauthorized servers, used Blizzard branding and game content, and monetized the whole system through donation points. If that story is proven, Ascension has a serious problem. I want to say that plainly. Being impressed by what Ascension did with this creation of content does not create a license. Thinking Blizzard has mishandled its own community does not end up erasing copyright. Building something players love does not automatically make the foundation legal. The comments were right to force that issue. If the client is what Blizzard says it is, if the store is what Blizzard says it is, and if the people named in the lawsuit controlled it the way Blizzard says they did, then this is dangerous terrain for Ascension. That is Blizzard's case at its most direct. And I'm not dodging it. Quick note, before we keep going, a lot of the work behind this series is research, documents, scripts, sources, folders, screenshots, court filings, and really just turning a pile of information into something usable. The way I manage all of that now is with Codex and Claude, working directly inside my file system. And this has changed my life. I mean that literally. If you want to learn how to use these tools with your own projects, there is a link below to book a free 15 to 30 minute call with me. Now bring something real, a business, a content project, homework, a research mess, a folder you do not know how to organize, whatever. I will give you as much useful information as I can for completely free. If it feels valuable to you, then you can book more time with me after that. If not, no harm, no foul. I just want more people to understand how powerful this is when you stop treating AI like a chat box and start using it inside your actual workflow. Now, back to the case. The question is bigger than ownership. But a lawsuit is not only a question of who owns the original game. That is the beginning. The rest of the case is about proof, scope, people, money, and remedy. Blizzard did not just sue a project, it sued people and companies, and liability has to land somewhere specific. Think about the difference. One question is, does Blizzard have rights in World of Warcraft? Yes. The next question is, what exactly did Ascension copy, distribute, display, modify, sell, or encourage users to download? That needs evidence. Another question is, did Project Ascension use a modified client? Blizzard alleges that it did. The next question is, what files? What hashes? What launcher path? What download logs? What expert comparison? And what chain of custody? That all needs evidence. Another question is, did the project make money? Blizzard alleges millions through donation points. The next question is, gross revenue or pure profit? Which company collected it? Which account held it? Which person controlled it? Which purchases involved protected assets? Which players would have paid Blizzard instead? That needs evidence. That is why Blizzard owns WoW is powerful, but it is not the whole case. Ownership opens the door. Records carry the case through it. Now, looking at private servers in historical context, a lot of people also brought this up, prior private servers, and that is fair. Blizzard has history here. Game companies have gone after unauthorized servers before. Courts have taken these disputes seriously before. So if your instinct is Ascension is in real legal danger because this is not the first private server fight, I agree with the danger part. History gives Blizzard confidence. History gives viewers a reason to take the complaint seriously. History explains why some people looked at this lawsuit and immediately said, I know how this ends. But history is context. The court still has to decide this record. And when people say Blizzard shut down prior private servers, the next question is, how? Was there a court ruling? A settlement? A consent order? Or did the project decide it could not afford the fight? Those outcomes all matter. They do not all prove the same thing. Prior cases do not prove what Ascension's launcher delivered. Prior cases do not prove who controlled the store. Prior cases do not prove which defendant touched which file. Prior cases do not prove damages in this case. Prior cases do not automatically prove the DMCA claim, the trademark claim, the contract claim, or even RICO. They matter. They do not replace the evidence. The comments were also right to focus on money. Donation points are not a side issue here. They are one of Blizzard's clearest practical and legal advantages. If a project uses Blizzard's protected work and then builds a store around that world, well, Blizzard is going to hammer that fact. If store items include Blizzard assets, Blizzard is going to hammer that too. If money moved through companies and ended up benefiting specific people, that becomes even more important. This is probably where Ascension's public defense gets hardest, because free-to-play sounds different once there is a store. Donation sounds different once there are actual points. Community project sounds different once Blizzard alleges millions. So yes, money matters, The defense response is not to hand-wave it. The defense response is to count it correctly. Show the store records. Show the payment processors. Show the ledgers. Show what was bought. Show who received the money. Show gross revenue, actual profit, operating costs, refunds, chargebacks, taxes, servers, staff, and distributions. Show the connection between the money and Blizzard's alleged injury. Money can make Blizzard's case much stronger here. It still has to be traced. Now, another comment theme was geography. Some people think foreign hosting or foreign operators means Blizzard cannot do anything. That is a bit too confident. Offshore infrastructure can make litigation harder. It can make service harder. It can make subpoenas harder. It can make enforcement harder. It can even make identity harder, but harder is not immunity. And if Blizzard can prove people used offshore systems to hide, that can become part of Blizzard's story. So I would not treat location as a magic defense. I would treat it as a proof problem. Who controlled the domain? Who paid the host? Who controlled the servers? Who controlled the payment accounts? Which companies are inside the court's reach? Which people are inside the court's reach? That is why early discovery matters. Blizzard is trying to turn handles, services, domains, and processors into names and records. That is where the record matters. Then there is that one question that is less legal, but very real to the community. Why now? Why after years of private servers? Why when Classic Plus speculation is everywhere? Why when Ascension just pushed Conquest of Azeroth into public view? Maybe at a very similar time. I understand that question. As a player, the timing feels impossible to ignore. Ascension is not just an old private server sitting quietly in a corner. It is a visible answer to a desire Blizzard has not fully satisfied for a lot of players. An evolving old world MMO with new class ideas, new progression, and a community that wants Classic to feel alive. That makes the player story interesting. It may also explain why the lawsuit has traction, but why now is mostly a narrative question. The legal question is still what Blizzard owns, what Ascension did, who did it, and who profited, and what the law allows the court to do about it. Business motive does not erase copyright. Community frustration does not create permission. Good timing theories still need evidence before they become more than theories. So yes, I'm going to keep talking about the timing. I'm just not going to confuse timing with a legal defense. Now, what would change the picture? Here is the cleanest way I can put it. Blizzard's case gets much stronger if Discovery produces the receipts, a preserved Ascension client, file hashes, download logs, launcher records, expert comparisons to Blizzard's own works, store records, payment processor records, corporate records, messages showing who controlled what, records tying specific defendants to specific decisions, proof of notice, proof of profit, proof of injury. That is the kind of evidence that turns open and shut from a comment into a case. And the defense gets stronger if those records do not line up cleanly. If the money trail is messier than Blizzard claims, if personal control is weaker than Blizzard claims, if original work is more separable than Blizzard claims, if damages are smaller than Blizzard claims, if some defendants were grouped into conduct they did not personally control. That is why we follow the filings. The filings are where the internet argument becomes a record. So, to the people who pushed back, good. I mean that. The best comments made the next question clearer. They put Blizzard's strongest argument on the table. Blizzard owns World of Warcraft. Private server history matters. Donation points matter. The store matters. Jurisdiction matters. Timing matters to the community. I agree. Those are the hard issues. Now, make them proof. Show the client. Show the files. Show the money. Show the store. Show the download path. Show the defendant-specific records. Show the injury. That is the difference between an obvious-sounding argument and a proven case. One more thing, because this case names real people. Do not dox anyone, do not contact anyone, do not threaten anyone, do not brigade anyone. We can analyze public filings without turning real people into targets. Next episode, I want to get even more specific. Blizzard keeps using one word, defendants, but people are not plural. If Blizzard wants liability against a person, well, it has to prove what that person actually did. That is where this gets very interesting. Blizzard gets to allege. Blizzard still has to prove. Thank you for watching.